everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking garlic 101, the basics. This is a beautiful bulb of garlic that I have here. As always, I've got some notes in front of me, a lot of information, too much for me to memorize for this. So you will have a link in the description box below where you can go straight to these notes. You don't need to worry about copying things down. Just listen and think about questions along the way, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. If I can answer them, I'll be glad to do so. If I can't, I'll let you know, okay? Now, about garlic. Garlic is an herb grown around the world. It's a member of the Allicin family, so it's a cousin to onions and leeks and chives. It's a common seasoning used worldwide for thousands of years, and it was found to be used in ancient Egypt both as a food and a medicine. And today we do the same, actually. China produces 80% of the world's garlic supply. That's an interesting note right there. Garlic tidbits. Garlic packs a real nutritional punch. When it comes down to nutrients, it's loaded with potassium, iron, calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, selenium, even beta-carotene, who knew? Zeaxanthin, that's a carotenoid found in the retina in your eyes, and even vitamin C. Now, the real punch in garlic comes from allicin, which is a compound that it forms when it's chopped or bruised, or even when you chew it. And that allicin is what gives garlic its classic aroma and flavor. And it's the big ingredient that helps in the treatment of many ailments when we consume garlic. And so some people find that they want to take garlic supplements for this purpose. And a lot of people will choose odorless garlic supplements. You need to know that in the odorless variety, the allicin has been removed because that's what gives it its classic odor, okay? So, but the allicin is what we really need. So instead of opting for odorless garlic capsules, it is suggested that you take ones that are enteric coated, regular garlic capsules that are enteric coated. That means that they're coated with something that will allow them to survive this stomach acid, make their way down into the GI tract, the small intestine, and there they will begin to dissolve, and so you can absorb the wonderful goodness from the garlic at that point and not burp up the allicin and that garlic flavor. So be aware that if you're taking the odorless garlic supplements, they may not be doing you a whole lot of good. Now, garlic also contains germanium, which is an element that has anti-cancer properties. And in fact, garlic has more germanium than any other herb. So now garlic is on top of the American National Cancer Institute's list of potential cancer preventative foods. So if you have any issues or concerns about cancer, garlic is a wonderful food to include in your dishes in any way you possibly can. And it has been used to treat cancers, various cancers. It's been used to treat heart disease, enlarged prostate glands, diabetes, arthritis, allergies, the flu, fungal infections, oral thrush, diarrhea, and more. There is a long list out there on the internet of ailments that garlic has been used to treat. And research has shown that garlic is effective in the treatment of many of these problems. So it is a great home remedy for all sorts of things. And its antibacterial and antifungal properties do help in the treatment of many, many conditions. There's a very important note here that garlic can interfere with some medications. So if you're taking prescription drugs of any sort and you want to take a garlic supplement, you need to check with your doctor or pharmacist first to make sure that there's going to be no interference there. It won't interfere with all medications, but with some. And so you want to check and make sure it's okay. Now, including garlic in your food is probably no issue. You might want to include and ask that also of your pharmacist or doctor. But usually we get a lot more of anything through a supplement form than we do by adding it in food. So chances are you can add it to foods in moderate amounts. Chances are, but do check to be on the safe side. Now, there are so many great medicinal benefits of garlic that I've included a link in the notes here to Dr. Michael Greger's website, nutritionfacts.org, to the links that pertain to garlic. And there are some interesting ones that do back up what we said about the treatment of certain conditions here. And these are bona fide, peer-reviewed research articles that he reviews. So, and he sticks with the literature, so you can trust that it's science-based is what he's talking about. How to select garlic. We want to look for solid heads. This is a good example of one that look healthy and compact. Taut outer skins as well. You want to avoid any bulbs that look damp or have soft spots on them, or even ones that have started to sprout. They are older, they're not in the best shape, and you want to avoid those if you can. A bulb that's heavy for its size indicates that it's fresh and it will be flavorful. If it feels light for its size, it's probably on the dried out side and maybe not the best one to choose. Now, how to store your garlic. We've got a little bit of variation on this. Garlic keeps longest when it's stored at 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit in moderate humidity. That sounds like a basement to me. Most houses are warmer than that, except perhaps some houses in the north in the winter. Some people will keep their thermostat down. That's where it keeps best, but you can keep it at room temperature in a mesh bag, hanging it in a mesh bag, or putting it in a loosely woven basket. It does need some airflow around it. You can put it in the crisper drawer in your refrigerator, which is where I typically store my garlic. I know some people will say, oh, don't do that, but it keeps just fine. However, once you put it in the refrigerator, you want to keep it in the refrigerator until you go to use it, because if you start out storing it in there and then you decide, no, I want to keep this at room temperature, and after a couple days you put it in a mesh bag or something, that will spark it to start to sprout. So that will accelerate the aging process, so you don't want to do that. Once it's in the fridge, keep it there until you go to use it. Now, leftover peeled cloves or chopped garlic that you've chopped up that you don't quite need can keep for a couple of weeks in the refrigerator in a small, tightly covered container. So you can do it in advance if you want to. You can also freeze garlic, although some people find that frozen garlic is not as great as fresh. I have instructions in the notes here on how to do that. Couple different ways. Fresh garlic can also be dehydrated if you so choose to do so. Follow the instructions that came with your dehydrator. But a quick note on this, if you opt to do this, take the dehydrator and put it in the garage, put it outside on the porch, somewhere outside the house, because if you dehydrate garlic in the house, ooh, your house is going to really still smell strong like garlic, and you may not want that. You'll be throwing open the windows for sure. You can also pickle garlic, and I've got instructions here in the notes. These are vague instructions, but this is what I found online, that you can mellow out the flavor by peeling it and putting it in a jar with some salt and vinegar. That's the instructions that I saw. Store it in the refrigerator, use as needed, and it says they will keep indefinitely that way. So if you want to really preserve your garlic, make a flavored vinegar out of it in the refrigerator. How to prepare garlic. You want to peel away as many of the outer skins as you possibly can, and then you want to break open the bulb or peel away some of the cloves if you can. If you can't, I've got instructions here on how to mash it down with your hand to try to loosen up those cloves that are in the bulb, okay? And I do have further instructions in here on how to peel it and slice it, different ways to go about doing that. I won't go into that all here. You can see it in the notes. Cooking and serving methods. Fresh garlic can be roasted, sauteed, added to soups, stews, casseroles, sauces, added to pizza toppings, and used in a whole host of different ways with food. You can use it to flavor oil, you can pickle it as I already mentioned, and it's usually used to flavor other foods. Not very many people will just pick up a raw clove and chomp down on it. I have seen recommendations for doing that for certain ailments, but it takes a brave soul to be able to do that. If you can do that, let me know, and my hat will go off to you for sure if you can actually eat garlic that way. I have instructions here in the notes on how to roast a garlic bulb, actually 2 different ways to do it. Now, if you're sauteing it, a lot of times we'll saute onions and garlic before we move forward in a dish. Remember that burned garlic equals bitter. If you burn your garlic, it will turn bitter, and garlic will burn very easily. You cannot saute it very long before it will start to burn, and then your whole thing is going to be needing to be thrown away because it's going to be too bitter for you to want to eat. So when you're starting out a recipe and it calls for sauteing something, if it calls for sauteing onions for 5 minutes until they're caramelized, don't add the garlic in with it right away or it's going to burn and you're going to have to throw everything away. Add the garlic toward the end of that process and then everything will be fine. If you're sauteing onions just very, very briefly, you can add the garlic in with it right away. No problem. Just remember, burned equals bitter when we're talking about garlic. Now, if you want to get the most allicin out of your garlic, that's the active component that will help against so many ailments. You want to use fresh garlic rather than jarred. The allicin tends to dissipate very quickly in these jarred garlic products where it's stored in water. It just dissipates within a matter of a few days after it's processed and made. So chances are that garlic has none by the time you get it. To get the most allicin out of your fresh garlic, you want to cut it up in any way you need to use it. And cutting is the key, because when we expose the cell walls to oxygen, oxygen reacts with an enzyme that's in there, and that enzyme will produce allicin. So you want to cut it any way you need to cut it for a recipe, and then allow it to sit for 10 to 15 minutes before you actually use it, and then you will get the most allicin out of that garlic that you possibly can. Okay? So that's a very, very important point. Flavor is going to vary. The garlic flavor is going to vary in intensity depending upon how much it's cut up. If you leave the garlic whole, it's going to have the least amount of garlic flavor. If you just slice it, it will be a mild garlic flavor. To get a really strong garlic flavor, you want to crush it or finely mince it really well. If you just slice it and give it a rough chop, it's going to have a flavor intensity in between the two. So remember, the more you cut it up, the more garlic flavor you're going to have. Herbs and spices that go well with garlic, well, the flavor of garlic blends with just about any food that you're going to add it to. And it does go well with most herbs, but you want to use it sparingly if you're mixing it with chervil, chives, lemon balm, and mint. Somehow I can't imagine mixing mint with garlic, but maybe some people do. Foods that go well with garlic, well, garlic is commonly used with meats and fish and beans and vegetables of various sorts. broccoli, cauliflower, kale, and other leafy green vegetables, eggplants, tomatoes, salads and salad dressings, pasta sauces. We can't do without garlic in pasta sauce, at least not in most of them. Quinoa, cheese dishes, butter, like as in garlic butter, and it's yummy on garlic bread, okay? So garlic is used to flavor many, many foods, and this is not an all-inclusive list. I'd have to be listing almost every food out there. I have some recipe links here following my notes on recipes that call for garlic. One link has 30 recipes for garlic lovers, and another link has 21 recipes every garlic lover should know. So there are a lot of recipes included in here that feature garlic in them, and I have resources below that. Well, I hope I have answered your questions along the way. Please do look at the notes and print them out if you want. There's a lot of information in there. If I have not addressed something that you have a question about, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll be glad to help if I possibly can. So this is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. Have a great day.